tonight?
Hey everybody, I'm Mike. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is 1/31/16, and Shepard Hills is my home group, best home group in the world, because it keeps me sober. So I met George. You think George looks good now? You should have seen him 20 fucking years ago. Because he came in here, looking just about like all of us look, beat up and everything else, and but George is my success story. He's one of the guys that I got to work with early on in my recovery, and that was in I guess it was 03. Is that what you said? 03, and so one thing that I know for sure is that this sobriety thing is a fragile deal. You got to take care of this son bitch, or it'll vanish on me. And George has taken care of this thing for over 19 years. So I'll give you George.
Yeah, I'm George, alcoholic. Hey, George. The sober date is November 10th, 2003, and whole group is blind pass, but I was down in Florida for about 8 years, so I had blind pass down there. It was really similar to our group, because when I went down there, they had that box with the coins, and no one knew how to open it up. I'm home. It was on top of laundromat, so you could do your dirty laundry downstairs or upstairs. So I had a pretty good group down there, had some really good friends, and they kept me sober in Florida, and that's amazing. But I'm still amazed that I'm sober today. My history is I'm a middle-class kid, St. Louis, Missouri. Learned how to drink young. My brother's 10 years older than me, and then Vietnam days were going on. So, he's getting ready to take off. I'm 8, and I always went to hang with the big guy. He says, you were easy. We just give you a beer, and you drink that thing and fall asleep. Like, I'm fucking 8 years old, But that first official drunk, I drank a bottle of Cold Duck and 2 905 beers, and I threw up just like I did for the longest time in my drinking career. But, so I had a little, I grew up in kind of a bad neighborhood, so we stayed out of shit because you didn't always want to fight and everything like that until I moved to the good side of town. And that's when the shit really happened. Mom and Dad go, you can do whatever you want. It's like, cool, I'm the last kid at home, so I was kind of spoiled, But I had that abuse too, though, It's like, I was never, the abuse with me was like I never could get a Schwinn bicycle. I always had to have that hand-me-down one, just the next level down, And I couldn't get, Chuck Taylor Converse, so I always had PF Flyers, So, that was some of my resentments as a kid. I'm trying to think back, was my childhood bad? Hell no, my dad was cool, I'm we're playing sports, so sports kept me out of a lot of trouble, actually, and we'll get into that as time goes, but, I always played sports and that, and my dad probably watched me play one game. So it didn't bother me at the time because I had freedom. I didn't have to worry about mom and dad. I just went out to play ball, had a good time. But, about 12 years old, we moved down to the good neighborhood, and that's when we discovered Boone's Farm on Friday nights standing by a liquor store. Stand there and ask everybody, can you buy me a bottle of wine? And it'd be like 10 kids hiding in the alley, So next thing you know, this little old ladies like, I bet she'd buy me some wine, I'd pick her out. We'll buy your bottle. And, so next thing you know, she's coming out with 3 cases of Boone's Farm. But that's how we started drinking, and it's like, I stayed away from the weed and everything. And in early 70s, it wasn't as easy to find drugs as it was today. So we drank a lot. But, I stayed away from the pot and everything, and some guys were doing it. But freshman year, I go off to high school. And thing was, I'm an A, B student, I'm pretty good, that first year. But after football season ended, my buddy Louie and me, he said, you want to smoke some pot? And we're at a party. It's like, well, I've never done that. And so smoked that first joint. I didn't get high. We smoked some trash weed. You fuckers are lucky to grow up on the weed you got now. They said, it'll take about 3 times and you'll get high. So, okay, I tried 3 times. I got high, And so after that, the grades went from A's to B's to B's to C's. C's to D's, but I kept playing sports. I played the first 2 years of football, and I was fortunate that they had a hockey team start up, and it wasn't the public high league, it was a club, so it was cool. I'm growing my hair long, and our football team, you had to shave your head. It's like, I'll play, but I ain't shaving my fucking head for nobody, So, hockey team starts up, and I could play hockey. I was really good at that. But, I like to, my pregame ritual is to go make some loving with my girlfriend after school, smoke a little weed, go home, eat dinner, and then drink, a beer or two before I went to the hockey game in junior year of high school. And I could play, so it just got me loose, Until one time I showed up so freaking drunk, and I could hardly skate. And one guy looks at me and goes, "You're drunk." And I said, no, I'm fine, My first shift, I go out there. God did me good. I scored 2 goals in the first shift. Sat down next to him going, "You ought to try my way." So I was cocky shit and kid, how I grew up, But, the sports, kept me going because a lot of my friends were really, they did a lot of shit. And I was fortunate enough that I did play enough that I kept out of a lot of shit. So I mean, I stayed out of a lot of it, but I had the house that Mom and Dad were gone every weekend. I had a pool table, a bowling machine, a bar. We had a bowling room, and it was cool, And so like people come over to the house, and all you guys, we'd all get together. We'd get drunk and get in fights and tear shit up. So then after a while, then I started doing a cover charge at junior year of high school. Okay, you come to my house, you're gonna tear shit up. We're gonna drink my dad's liquor. At least I can pay him back, And the old man goes, "Dad, I drank a case of beer and 2/5 of your liquor. Here's the money." And he wouldn't say shit, But he'd kind of let me drink and all that. But then after a while, I was like, "Forget the cover charge. You got to bring a girlfriend with you." Then we're fighting over, "Oh, so I want your girlfriend," So it was fun. We had a lot of kegers and shit like that. But my senior year of high school, I'm down to about a D and F student. So for my report card that year, I forged it. So I was sitting in the study hall and I kept writing over it and trying to make it, and I just scribbled all over the shit, And I showed it to my coach. He goes, "Okay, I was good," because after the season, he goes, "Next time you forge a report card, do your grade point average." If I have all B's and I got a 1.75 grade point average, like something was wrong there, But thank God those were the days that they kind of cared about you. They'd rather see you play a game than kick you off school and make you feel like shit. But, that was my high school years, and it's like, that first big lie you ever told, over alcoholism. 16 years old, just started driving and all that good shit, 'cause my dad was tired of me hustling for my allowance every week. He got me a job. But about 2 months into it, we're seeing who could drink a case of beer the quickest. Little baby buds. And I don't know if I won, but I was driving that night. But I wake up in the morning and my old man goes, "What'd you do to the car?" And I was like, "Oh shit. You must have got hit while I was parked, Dad. You should get your ass up." And I was like, "Okay," and he comes outside, he shows me the car, he says, "How the hell that get hit?" Because the wreck side is on the sidewalk, the car's on the sidewalk. And he goes, "Go get dressed." "What for?" He said, "Just get dressed." And he took me to the police station. Because my dad always told me, he said, "If you're going to work hard, work hard, you can play hard." So, I always worked, I'd keep jobs and shit. But he took me down there, and I couldn't remember where the hell I wrecked. I made a good guess. And there was a wrecked car a couple blocks where I said I thought I was. So that was my first hit and run, So that was that first alcoholic lie, though. But, I got grounded and all that good shit, But making it through high school was cool, we had some great parties, like our newspaper was run by a bunch of hippies, so we used to have hippie of the week. We had jock of the week, and they also had this little section, "What did you do when you cut school?" So everybody wanted to get on that one, Well, we get fucked up, we smoke weed, And so it was a little different days, we could get away with a lot of shit back then. Today's society, you'd be screwed. So I think we all made treatment centers for you guys. We went through the ringers, If they had treatment centers when I was a kid, I'd probably been in one. But that's just the way it was. You get out of high school, if you make it through high school, military, or stay out of jail, get a job. And I could have went to college, had that scholarship offer from University of Missouri, and I just didn't go. It's like, I'm good. I just like to play, but I want to party. So I moved out at 19. I was the first kid who moved out of mom and dad's house. Not in marriage and that shit. And that woman became my wife. And me and her, we used to do some shit. I don't know who cheated on her first, which I think it was me, but we had some times, really loved that woman, she gave me a lot of freedoms and everything. But as time went on, we were married, and I was 21, she was 20, and they told her at our reception that she couldn't drink because she was 20, and my father-in-law, I loved him, he was like my idol. Never home, tow truck driver sitting on a bar stool. That's who I want to be, And maybe, her daughter would be like her mother, so I could run like he did, But I come down to it, I got, my wife got pregnant I was 23, she's 22, and had an opportunity to go to California and work in the oil fields. It's like, at that time I was a production manager for a small furniture company. Man, my dreams are coming true. Man, I'm working for myself. I'm running the crew. All my friends work for me and all that, but we didn't get paid on time. But like our safety breaks was like in the morning, we'd get there together and get your tape out, we'll pull it down, make sure our tapes are all measuring the same. So, if you're a 16th off or an 1/8 inch off on furniture, you're fucked. So we do that, and then we smoke a joint, and I say, okay, count your fingers. Let's have our fingers at the end of the game. So I had a great time working for this guy, but had the opportunity to go out there and double my income. And so I told the wife, I said, we'll go out for 2 to 5 years. And I said, if I come back in about 2 years, we have 5-10 grand saved up. We can buy his house back home, So that was the game plan. But we get out there with a new baby. My mother-in-law kept saying, when are you bringing that baby home? I said, we're not even there yet, But it got down to working in the oil fields. It was a tough job. Made great money. And when I first get to California, it's like, man, okay, I brought enough weed to last for a while. And I was a bush drinker at that time. But you get to California, they have no bush. That's when I started drinking Budweiser, because that was the king of beers, Plus I had no bush. But I asked this one dude, man, I need some weed. He goes, oh, man, I can get you a quarter for like $60. I'm going, fucking A, because I'm buying, weed back in Missouri for, $140 a pound for, Mexican, about $400 for Colombian. And I'm thinking, shit, a quarter pound for $60? I like California. Well, it came back about that little big, a little quarter-ounce bag I never bought in my life. It was one finger, but it's Humboldt. Ooh, okay, I've heard that name. So the weed prices all started going up. So if you're one of my people my age, you remember the price structures, Them goddamn Colombians came in and fucked everything up. It was free society then. Everybody light up joints and just party your ass off. But, my wife, I sent her home a couple times in that first year so she can take the baby back. And then kept in track with one buddy back home. I'd always call him once every week or two. But one morning I called him up and said, hey, what's going on? And he said, oh, not much. We just got done partying. And I heard my wife's voice in the background. This is too early in the morning. I said, hey, what's she doing there? And he goes, oh, shit, I said, let me talk to her. So I talked to her, what are you doing there, But when she went back home, I said, you can go party with all our old friends, But us old friends, we swapped girlfriends. We did a lot of crazy shit, But I'm kind of pissed. And she's like, well, you can just stay out there. I'm like, what the fuck? She fell in love with my buddy George, so we go in twos. But he was the cocaine dealer. So she was getting into coke and that shit. And I traveled back in town a few times. Especially like for a divorce. I come in town and I go to stay at mom and dad's house. And I find the closest bar had music and everything like that. It was a good hangout. And I walk in, I'm looking pretty good. I'm a young man. I'm fucking got money. I can dress well. And I go into this barmaid. She's pretty. I said, hey, I'm in town for a week. I got a pocket full of money and I just need to have some fun. I'm in for a divorce. And she goes, I'm your girl. I'm like, fucking A, She kept me out of shit. So I love you women who kept me out of shit, But, those two made a run together. And I didn't always like it because, I was held up for child support. One day I'm back in town and she's like, it's Father's Day. Can I see my kid? And she's going, well, you owe me money. I'm going, I know I owe you money. I'm retraining myself. I don't have money. I'm going to school and shit. But she goes, well, how much you want? She goes, I need $1,000. I'm going, fuck. And they're going down on their cocaine deal in days, So I call her back. I said, hey, how about 300? An 8-ball be good enough for you for today? So, okay. So I mean, going through those days with another woman and partying, it is tougher than hell. I used to call myself Disneyland Daddy. I'd get my kid one day a week. And some days I might have been up all night doing cocaine myself and drinking and having an hour's sleep and doing that shit with a kid. I love my kids. It doesn't make me a good father. I found that out. But, after that, I ran for about 6 years, out in California, and California Girls Greatest in the World, man. They kept me going. I got a lot of drunkalogs from there. I had my one girlfriend, Cocaine Karen, and me, I thought I was like, not Boston George from below, I was Bakersfield George, I'm selling enough to where I have a little extra money all the time so I could party like a mother, because I'm making that extra $500,000 a week. So I go to a bar and going, how did I spend $100 in 2 hours? I'm a generous tipper. I buy drinks, you know. But I met Karen, and I hope bad taste, you know, I got some of that in me. But I met Karen because she's sitting on a bar stool, and she's drinking a Budweiser. I'm like, damn, she looks pretty good in jeans. And one guy comes up and says, hey, baby, why don't you sit on my face? And she just looked at him. She goes, was your nose bigger than your dick? And I'm like, I love her. Buy her a drink, bartender, you know. So me and Karen, we made a run together for a while, you know. We ended up living together, and, you know, God's been in my life the whole time, I figured out. Because we're getting hot, you know. And it's like, you know, we had the good times, a lot of money, travel, and all that shit. But again, it come down to, I was like, we're getting hot, I got to get out of here, you know. Selling the junkies, you know, so if you're dealing, don't sell the needle people. They come back all the time. It didn't come back on me, but you did. You know, you want more, but you don't want to pay for it. But the search warrant came out. I just moved out a couple of days. Said, man, I got to get out of here. Called the dealer, said, don't give her nothing, man. We're hot, you know. And he was a good dealer. He says, man, if you get caught, call me. I'll get you out. But he kind of had that Mexican cartel shit behind him, and that's where he was buying his shit. So I'd probably been taken to the desert and said goodbye with, you know. But search warrant came and hit the neighbor's house. And you're like, ooh, I'm lucky, you know, and I was. But I knew I had to get out of town because they had my description. They didn't have my name, so thank God on that one. But and my car was in an old girlfriend's name and all that shit, so I was good to leave. But I told my sister I'm hooked up on cocaine. I said I got to get out of town. Law's after me. And my sister's very generous and they're very wealthy. And she gave me probably the best thing I ever got. She bought me a Greyhound bus ticket, and she gave me $50, a wash rag, and a bar of soap. And I'm like, shit, I wanted to fly TWA. I'm still fucking selfish and self-centered, you know. But, you know, so that four-day back home rides that mom and dad had, tell them, hey, I'm mixed up on coke. And they said, okay, you can come back, you know. And that was the only reason they let you back in, I guess, for drugs or whatever. But I got to go back to mom and dad's house, stay away from coke, but I'm an alcoholic. I got a job in a bar. So I'm a doorman at a bar. That's how you get off cocaine. You get into a popular bar, work the doors. You know, so it honed my alcoholism still. And I kept drinking, and I'm the kind of person that will drink 12 beers in the daytime and then start on hard liquor. And I had that patterns my whole life. You know, when I tried to slow down, I just drink beer and wine, but that never got me to oblivion like the book talks about. I love oblivion. I just didn't I like to remember most of it, you know, and I can remember about 80% of every one of my drunks, but it was that last 10 or 20%, who am I going to be? I'm a drunken asshole. I'm a pervert. I'm all kinds of shit, you know, when it comes down to it. But, you know, kept drinking and drinking. Met my second wife, and I had cancer back in my 20s. I got it now, too. But I think cancer kind of helped me party for the longest time because I beat it in my mid-20s. I had testicular cancer, so, I mean, you know, they caught me early and, you know, cleaned me up and all that shit. But, you know, I don't think they're expecting me to live that long because, right, you know, they can give you an artificial testicle, and I'm like, oh, I'll have one of them. You know, so now I got a 25-year-old testicle and a 65-year-old. They don't match. You know, but, you know, what it was I always enjoyed living life. But after that, it was because I wanted to party. I thought I had to celebrate every day of living. And I did, you know. But again, I get to the second wife and met her on a bar stool. Budweiser in her hand, looked good in jeans, you know. But we had a quick romance. We got married after about 3 months. And we had a good run. You know, we had 10 years of great marriage, but we were married 17, you know. But when it comes down to it, you know, my wife's probably seen my alcoholism more than anybody, you know, because I was the one to come home, you know, go through the sniff test. Anybody go through them, you know, you've been drinking. It's like, God, you know, and then some days I wouldn't drink just to see if I could pass the sniff test. And she probably, I know you've been drinking. And then me, I'm the one I'll show you a drunk. I'll go down to my bar, because I had a nice bar, I had 3 acres, all this other shit. But, you know, I'd show her a drunk. You know, I always kept saying, how come we don't put pictures in the hallway? We got plenty of places. She goes, because you knock them fuckers off all the time. You know, so I mean, and I thought I was a good drunk, because everybody used to come to my house. I worked in restaurants. I was the one who bought the quarter pound and fronted you out the ounces, had the parties at my house, and got a lot of good friends from some of those days, you know. But it got down to where I was at the bottom. My birthday is November 6th, so we celebrated my birthday on the 9th. So, I mean, and I go into the, downstairs, open up the fridge, and there's like 8 beers in there, and I'm trying not to drink at that time, or drink less. I never told my wife I'm going to quit forever. I said, I'll do better. Okay, there went tequila. I couldn't drink tequila a long time ago, got rid of tequila. Jack Daniels, I loved it, but that was crazy shit, But I was drinking rum. Because I didn't want vodka, because I heard that was the drink of alcoholics. So I was staying away from vodka. I would do Bloody Marys, though, and I would do a martini occasionally and all that shit. I look good with a martini glass in my hand, by the way, So, but, I got down to that last, she goes, you better go get some more. There's people coming. And I only drank 8 beers my last drunk, and I'm pissed. I don't have the story of waking up in the fucking jail. I had the story of me and the wife fighting, the fucking arguing. It was the alcoholism that got me. It wasn't quite the alcohol got me, but it was the isms. All them years of hatred, of what 2 people can do to each other, and so it wasn't easy. But, I call Mom up. I say, Mom, and she got in a big fight last night. Can I come home? And she's like, oh, shit. She goes, okay, so I go talk to her and told her what happened and everything. And she goes, okay, you can stay here, but you can't drink. I'm like, oh, shit. So, the book talks about the jumping off spot where you can drink or not to drink. That was my jumping off spot. I'm sitting there going, what the hell I do? But I had a buddy named Bruce. Some of us probably know him around here. But he was in AA, and I kept watching him going, fuck, he's got 8 months, and he hasn't had a drink. And me and Bruce partied together. We drank it the same way. But, I kept watching him, and I kept saying, what's AA like? He would never tell me. So if you're an alcoholic and you got a friend who's watching you, don't tell him shit about AA. Because he didn't do that to me. He says, if you ever want to go to a meeting, call me. So, like second day, I call the AA hotline. I got Dr. Love in Springfield. That dude, that's Dr. Love. Dude, I don't know what to do. I need to get sober. And he told me there's Larry Simmering Center here and all that shit. So I called Larry's up, and said, hey, I don't know if I need to detox. He goes, well, when was the last drink? I said, it was like 3 days ago. Well, you can't detox, and you're sober. I'm like, shit. I didn't know how the game worked. I should have went and had a drink, got thrown in there, and hopefully got a bed afterwards, But, so I'm sitting there thinking I'm all fucking lost, and they told me it was going to be $3,500 for a 28-day treatment. But then I called Bruce up. I said, Bruce, what about those meetings you want to get me? So he took me to Pickers and Grinners, got that first coin. So those first 30 days was really cool. I mean, you get that first coin, people applaud for you, and you feel like shit. You're like, why are they applauding? They hug you. They give you this love, come back tomorrow and all this shit. But they must have gave me a really good step 1 meeting that first night. They told me how they drank, and there's a couple guys in there like, Richard the Mule Man, for a few people who know him. He always says, man, I was addicted to neons and nylons. I said, I drank like him. And they always talked about this shit, but they always kind of, quizzed me every day. It's like, did you drink for oblivion? And it's like, I didn't know what oblivion meant at the time. I'm just getting new to the lingo. But got down to it, got that big book, and they offended me at first because it's like, if you don't have money, we'll buy it. I'm going, I got credit cards, motherfuckers. I got 3 acres and a 3-bedroom house, ranch style. I got 3 cars, even though 2 of them had to, keep one going. I had one decent car, but so I came in AA, and then I started thinking that $3,500. I said, I'm a $10 a day drunk, and I lie. But at $10 a fifth of liquor, I could survive. I'm thinking, oh shit, if I go to there, that's my whole liquor budget for a year. I'll try the dollar method. So I see guys like Mike around, and some of the spiritual giants say, oh, God's wonderful. Mike would be going, my fucking God's amazing. I kept hearing this F word with God. I'm going, I can listen to this man. I got too spiritual. My ears were closed because I had no spirituality at the time. But me and Mike, sat in a lot of meetings, did, my first 30 days. But it's why I like a live drunken meeting is this guy, old Vietnam veteran Jerry, He knew the big book, man. The man's up with a cane, he's pouring coffee, and doing the deal, I thought, he fucker's sober, And fucking Mike done this trip probably, I don't know how many times beforehand. But he goes, hey, man, can you give me a hand and give Jerry back to his hotel? I said, sure. So I got like 30 days in. And we take Jerry over across the Pine Valley over there, and I seen alcoholism. It wasn't mine, it was somebody else's. So I've learned from other people's mistakes, but he was a decorated Vietnam veteran, badass. He flew planes my brother was loading with napalm in Vietnam. So I had a connection with the Vietnam veterans. But I'm sitting there, and Mike's just sitting there, and I'm talking. I got 30 days sober, trying to tell him what's going on. Mike's just sitting there going, motherfucker, And then, so we come back, and this one we were in the other building, so a few of us know the old building. But he just asked me, he said, where you at on your steps? I said, shit, I don't know, 1, 2, or 3. And he took me through step 1, 2, and 3 in about 5 minutes. I'm going, shit. I've been making that 30-day, I'm sponsor shopping, you ever sponsor shop? That guy looks pretty good, but I don't know, he's got too many years, he knows too much, So Mike, he took me through 1, 2, and 3, and he says, hey, why don't you meet me over at my house tomorrow? Okay, sure, I got nothing to do. My wife still don't want me home yet, I'm sitting at mom's. And, but it's like the powerless. I'm telling Mike, I got 3 acres and all this shit, and he goes, where are you staying at? My mom's. He says, that's manageable. So, he shot me straight up pretty much in the beginning, but go over to his house, and, we talked a little bit, and then he got me on his knees, and we did that 3rd step prayer, and it's like, wow, this is weird. I'm holding hands with this motherfucker, God, relieve me in the bondage of self, and it's funny, I like people, I always feel the presence of God. I always laugh when I do it with somebody, because they haven't read that prayer yet. It's the first time you're doing it. I read it. No, you didn't. Shit, you don't even know a word of it, So it's like I always grin when I do it, and just laugh, because that's what Mike did to me. But afterwards, he got a piece of yellow paper and just folded it up in thirds, and he structurally showed me how to do a 4-step. A couple names. Don't worry about the 2nd column. We'll do a little bit of that. Don't worry about the 3rd. And so he says, I had 10 days to do it. I'm like, shit, my first big AA test. So I did my 4-step in 10 days, and I lied a little bit, I didn't put everybody on there, because I read the book, book says, I'm going to swallow some big truths about myself, so I got to do that, but, that got me started, it was really funny, because, he's got 3 years, I believe it was at the time, and he goes, you a felon? I says, no. He says, good, you can ride with me. Felons can't ride together. I didn't know all this shit. I didn't know all the rules of, I never got caught. But, and so, I see 4 different tires on that car, cracked windshield. That's my sponsor. So, he gave me a good foundation, it's like, he told me in my big book, too, he says, write down your sobriety date. He says, if you read what's in this book, your date don't have to change. I'll be damned, it worked for me. I've done a lot of 12 steps and all that shit, and the only person who normally stays sober is me. I've done a lot of them. You think, man, you're going to be this miracle worker, you're going to get this sumbitch sober. Hell no. And I like guys, and me and Mike, I was joking with him about that. It's like, people come up, hey, would you be my temporary sponsor? No, I'll be your sponsor. You can be my temporary sponsee. Maybe you'll call me tomorrow, and, so I pretty much do the same, way Mike did with me, in the beginning, I'll take him through 1, 2, and 3, try to get you on your 4-step as quick as you can. That vigorous course of action works for some of us, but I'm just grateful the way I went through it, but, I got that 4th and 5th step, we did that, and got done with it, and I think I'm pretty damn complicated, right? I grew up in a brick house. I didn't grow up in a trailer. Mom and Dad were together forever, We're completely different, except in wanting to stay sober. So that was so cool. But we did that, and he just looked at me at the end, he goes, you're selfish and self-centered, and laughed at me. Pissed me off. God, he's laughing at me. I don't always like this AA laughter, when you're in shit, and you're feeling like hell, and they're all laughing at you, But it was cool, So, I went home, and I did my 6 and 7. And the thing was, I was trying to figure out what was my major character defects. And, I used to like to come home, and the wife would give me a sniff test, and I usually go, FUB, I'm going to get drunk. So, okay, that was the first character defect I took out of my language. I was not going to use, fuck you, bitch, to my wife or any woman. And I used to always like to say, kiss my ass. So those were my first 2 major character defects I had to get rid of. And I knew I had more glaring ones, but those were just the first 2. I had to figure something out to tell them the next day. So I mean, so I gave it that hour like the book says. I first said, Mike, I want to go down to the lake because that's where I found my spirituality at. But he says, no, go home. His book says, when returning home. Okay, here I'm in my mom's basement doing my 6th and 7th. I called him next day, he said, well, how'd it go? I said, well, my foundation is kind of firm. I says, Mike, I was on one knee praying last night. I didn't want to get on my knees and pray. You know what he tells me? You're halfway there, asshole. So I'm praying on one knee for a while there, and I learned how to get down on both knees. But when I come down to it, I got to get on my knees every day. And I can't say over 19 years I got on my knees every day, but, there's a handful of times I haven't. And lately, I found I had cancer again, so it's been kind of hard coming back home. I did my chemo and my radiation down there in Florida. And I had a little bit of time to come back here before they do new treatments. And thank God Bobby, he had I got the same doctor he has, and I think he told us that, doctor said, you got 20% chance of survival. He goes, good. That's twice as much as AA gave me. So, a lot of people try to, and I like self-pity. I can play that if I need to and that shit. But I don't play this off of self-pity because the first time I did, I fucked people over. I knew how to get money from you. I knew how to get a free drink. Knew how to play sympathy to the women. If you're drinking, it's like, my wife ran off with my best friend. I just had cancer, and I'll be good for 90 days. After that, I'm going to journey on, So I love you women because you tell them 90 days, like, shit, no, I'm going to make this motherfucker stay around, So I had that out all the time. And I come into AA, they said, do 90 and 90. And I got sold on the 90 and 90 because all the old timers says, man, do 90 and 90. If you want to go get drunk, you can go get drunk. So my thing was the 90-day plan. Let me just get 90 days. But within that time, I said, I want to be one of you guys. I'm sitting at the lake going, okay, whoever, when I actually did my step 2 and 3, was I talking to God, I guess, or whoever he was. I just said, whoever you are, I'm ready. And so that's when I started taking the program serious, And it's like, okay, I'll read 84 to 88, I know I could say on awakening before I could say God. I'd say on awakening, I'd have to talk to my higher power. And I like how the book says, eventually we'll start talking about God, so I got to. Especially after 90 days, I was told, let's do all the fundamentals, but you're not going to do your 9th step until you have 90 days. Make sure you want to stay sober. So, I can't wait to do that first, one with my wife. I'm thinking, oh, good. I see some people been through hell in here, and they're together. I'm going, how the hell? Now, her bottom wasn't as, our bottom wasn't as bad as a lot of people's. But, so here's like 90 days, Mike, I'm going to do it, And so, it's late at night, kids are sleeping, and told us, hey, can we talk for a minute? And I just got back home. I'm still sleeping on a couch. And I slept on the couch for 6 months. But, I kind of laid my heart out, and it's like I learned not to say everything I did, because the book doesn't say, oh, yeah, I did this. I just says, I've done a lot of shit when I was drinking. I can't change. I'm trying to change myself with my higher power and Mike and AA and all this shit, and I probably talked 3-4 minutes. And so I'm waiting for that long talk, right? And she just looked at me. She never even sat down. She just looked at me. She goes, I'm going to bed. I'm like, damn, the book says we're supposed to do all this shit. It didn't happen. So I called Mike up. God damn it, I did the fucking, man. I didn't take to, But he told me, he goes, you know what? He says, for all that shit you did before, you don't have to say you're sorry anymore. You did your amends. He says, now you just got to do your daily 10 steps. When you piss her off, you got to do it that way. So it's kind of nice because it's like it did give me a burden off myself. I didn't have to worry about. Remember the time we had a new truck and you drank Jaeger and puked all over the new truck? I'm a pass out puking drunk, But got down to it. I started doing those other 9 steps, And some people really take to them, Some people don't. It took me a few years to do that first wife, but I had to be divorced from the second wife, And that was the thing too. Like the book says, there's years of reconstruction. And about 9 months in, I was ready to divorce this woman. And we have no communication. We have nothing. I brought her to Al-Anon one time, and she came out, and I'm thinking, okay, God, this is going to work. And she was pissed. She didn't know she had to put $1 in a basket, even though she said, I used to go to Al-Anon. And you didn't know about the $1. I didn't think of that over for about a year. I'm like, she's never been to Al-Anon. So I did the background checking, and no, she never did. Scott Solari was... his wife, they worked together. So she had an Al-Anon Nazi she worked with. And, got down to it, we tried on the outside. I was a coach before I got in the program, kept on coaching, but I had a lot of people, you just need to do nothing but AA. But I read the book, it says, I got to get back into the stream of life. So I did not want to quit my coaching, and I kept coaching, and it was probably some of the most beneficial things I could do, because it gave me an out from AA, shitty marriage going on. But we started a business, and the business is a success. And I'm like, cool, I work in restaurants, and being a bartender sucks trying to get sober on, but I did that. But when it got down to it, we just got in this one last argument. I can't handle this. We either work on this marriage or get a divorce. And, I gave her the choice. She says, I want a divorce. So after 3 years, I get a divorce, and that was probably one of my hardest years. I was staying sober to keep that kid, the wife, the house, and everything. Now, I was doing it the right way, but that was always in the back of your mind. I want to keep that shit together. But that third and fourth year was tougher than hell. And actually, me and Mike always stayed friends, but I got new sponsors. Her name was Emma. She's a biker gal from, Church Army. There's a lot of things in the big book I don't want to do, like I don't want to pound on the bar again, wondering how did I get started again. The book's got more relapses in there than solutions. There's only one solution, but the whole story, I didn't want to have all those things, And I was talking to Mike one time, this is the first year though, but he goes, God damn, George, you know the ABCs, the XYZs of that big book. He says, now make it your story. So I started making it my story. But in that third, fourth year, it's like, damn, I didn't know whether to drink or not again. I'm like that Sally that talks in the Vision for You. I would have loved to got away with 5 or 6 drinks, but I couldn't. I didn't know deep down inside I'm an alcoholic, But got down to it. At 3 years, went out to my spiritual. I used to go out to Bull Shoals down in MM. That's where I found my higher power. I read the big book a lot down there. But I didn't know whether to drink or not, so I had a 3-year coin. I buried that son of a bitch. And then I'm sitting here going, I'm not sure if I'm going to drink or not. Damn, I'm going through hell again. And then old English Al, I told him, I said, man, you want to ride with me? He goes, sure, what's up? And I says, just come with me. So me and him go out to MM out there. And he talked me off that edge, So you need old timers around who've been through some of this shit, And he's like going, yeah, you don't need to drink, all that good shit. But I says, damn. And I knew right where that coin was at. I had it marked. I said, if I can find my coin, I won't drink. Look, Al, you're amazing. God, wonderful. You're a dick, So I've had some fun, a lot of laughter with a lot of people in the program. But, and it's amazing. Like, through the gift of the program, my kids were supposed to stay with me 2 days a week. Within about 4 months, my daughter's living with me exclusively. She moved in with me because I was, I'm a liberal father. If you're late, just call me. Don't rush home to kill yourself on a country road just to beat the time limit, And she's in high school. She's president of FFA. I'm very proud of my kids. But, she started staying with me. Then all of a sudden, my son, I've coached him forever. And he gets off to high school, and he starts staying with me. And I was keeping a calendar. Sam, 4 days this week. Next week, 5 days. Then all of a sudden, it's like my kids are living with me. It's because of the gift of this program of Alcoholics Anonymous. They stayed with me, even though they did some stupid shit, I'll tell you. But, they started staying with me. And then I told the wife, I says, hey, you know what? Now, the funny thing was I was working for her. She was paying me minimum wage. Like, I'm a waiter. I make $500-600 a week take home, Now I'm looking for, $7.50 an hour, I think it was at the time. When we went to court, all right, child support, boom, judge says $234 a month. And she just looked like, huh? She thought I'm getting a bunch of money. She only paid me minimum wage, so they can only do it off minimum wage. Ha ha. Not that I got resentments or, I want to stick it in your ass, but take that, baby. But, the kids moved in with me, and after a while, my son needed some shoes because she wants him to work. He plays 3 sports, man. The kid has no time, So I'd rather work 2 jobs, let my kid enjoy high school than that. And she goes, well, I don't got no money for him. I'm like, God damn, you can't buy him a pair of shoes because you want him to go to work. And so, then I took her to court. I said, we're going to turn this thing around. But I didn't take no money from her. All I wanted her to do was help her kids. And she had the money. She had the vehicles. you know, and it really sucks because I got to go back and see my wife twice a week now, and that's not much fun, you know. I got to do a lot of praying and all that, but it's been a gift, you know. I mean, because I got to see my kids graduate. One of them, you know, and, they're good kids. They like to party, so it really sucks. I go to Beverly's once a week and play trivia with them. You know, I want to see my kids. But when I come down to it, you know, the gifts in the program, they know where, you know, my daughter lost her baby at 18 months old, and she was telling me the other night, she goes, Dad, I use that serenity prayer all the time. So I taught them how to do inventory. You know, my daughter is 14, she found her first boyfriend, and I got to tell her about sex, because she already had it, you know. And I'm going, damn, what am I supposed to do? This is supposed to be the mother's job, right? So I made her do a 4-step on sex. Adoption, abortion, diseases, you know, and I said, it's got to be 3 pages long, and she's like, I said, you got 10 days to do it. So she gets done with that, you know, and, you know, I just told, and what I did, I said, honey, when I was in high school, here's a person with adoption, here's somebody with abortion, here, I knew all the, you know, what was going on, I made it personal. And I told her, honey, you might not have your virginity, let's just keep your virtue, so you don't walk through the grocery store thinking you screwed everybody in here, you know. So she, you know, she was cool, and my son was a couple years younger, and he got to be 14, she goes, you gonna make him do that report? I said, no. She said, why not? I said, well, I'm gonna take him to Walmart. She goes, Walmart? I said, yeah, we're gonna sit at Subway, get a sandwich, and we're just gonna point out the people who had babies too young, and all this shit. And I said, I'm gonna take them down the rubber aisle and tell them, get some rubbers. And she goes, that's not fair, Dad. She's still pissed at me to this day over that one. You know, but I said, honey, you know, daughters and sons are a little bit of a different story. You know, I'm trying to keep the boys away from, you know, you and all this other shit. But it's been a good ride with them. But, you know, it got down to the point where, like, you know, another thing I didn't think I'd ever do is take what religious people have to offer. Fucking church army, Corps, been a member of them for 10 years or whatever when I was here. And thankful for everybody who's sitting in here who was there at one time or another, because they never would let you guys go out, you know, to the meetings. And that was always my purpose. I'd be going to, you know, their meetings, but you know, they really taught the big book well. I sat through their big book studies and all that, man. They really knew how to teach the big book, you know, and I got a lot of, you know, good times from them, because, you know, they let me play ball. I'm 50 years old. I'm playing softball. I'm the pitcher, you know, and I used to go steal big books all the time, you know, because they always had cases of big books. Joffrey's got one of them, you know. But it's like I'd always steal a big book, you know, because I go in with, and I love Branson because we always carry big books, you know. So I'd always go with no big book, and I better get a book. Walk out the fucking door, says, hey, Steve, yeah, you know. And I don't think I got maybe 20 of them or so, but it's really cool that somebody actually opened them up, because I make them put their their sobriety date in there. And some people take to that, it's like, your sobriety date don't have to change. You know, so I mean, you know, and some of my guys, I got lucky in Florida. You know, I mean, over 8 years there, I got probably 5 sponsees down there and a couple grand sponsees already. You know, and a lot of those guys did the same thing that I did with Mike, you know. But I came back up one year and I told Mike, I said, I better tell him the fucking truth about, you know, I said, I embellish a lot of this shit, you know, make it sound good. I said, them hillbillies, man, they teach you how to get sober and shit, you know. And I said, yeah, my sponsor had 8 teeth, and, you know, I talked about his car, and he goes, well, the car's right. He says, but I only had 1 tooth and it was dangling. You know, but I got to see Mike graduate from high school. I got to see him get teeth, you know. And then Joffrey came down, and like, he's down there, last November, whatever it was. And I had to say, I'm sorry, group. Some people in Branson have teeth, because Joffrey's got a nice set of teeth, you know. They're expecting these hillbillies to come down with, you know, buck teeth, and, you know, their 4 steps got farm animals on them and shit like that, you know. But yeah, you know, it's been a good ride. You know, I've had a lot of laughs along the way. You know, I got a buddy, Gary, who I met down here at Trilix one time. And he had 8 years, and he just started driving after 8 years in the program. But he started a business when he got sober. So he hired a driver to drive him around. He's got probably the biggest pool service in Vermont right now. You don't think they got pools up there, but this boy makes money. But he came down, and he's trying to say, oh, and God put us together. I says, no, Gary. But what it was is, like, we're talking RAA stories. I said, yeah, I had this one sponsor, but he's on death row now. He goes, where at? I said, Florida. He goes, oh, what's his name? I said, John. He said his last name. I'm going, how the hell, you're from Vermont? And he says, well, my mom lives in Florida, and he sat in the same groups. He says, I left a month before all this shit happened. So me and him had that bond in the beginning. But ever since then, my coins have come off Bill W.'s grave. He'll go up there, and everybody throws their coins on the grave, and he's always found my coin for the next year. So me and him have been really tight. But he was in Branson, because he was meeting his 19-year-old daughter for the first time. And what it was is the girl poked holes in the rubber, so he never knew he had a kid. And the first time he can drive, he's driving to Missouri, and he's trying to say, and God put us together. He says, no, it was that girl poked the holes in the rubber, wasn't it? Did God poke the holes or not? So I don't know how God works all the time. I think God works after you get in here and start using them, But me and him some good buds, and we got to speak before I came back home. And Gary's got money, and his group's about an hour and a half away. He rents a party bus to bring his group down. Stripper pole, lights, and all this shit, man. So, that was the first speak and eat they ever had down there in Florida, because we laid it out, man. We had food and all this shit, But some of the friendships, like Bobby, when he first got in, he was Mr. Cool, We had a carnival going on. Bobby stand back. Yeah, I'm Mr. Cool. Bobby, you willing to go to any length? He's like, yeah. So get your ass in the dunking tank, We've been dunking that son of a bitch ever since, But when it come down to it, it's like Joffrey, he came in, and I think first thing I told him, I said, I've never seen a timeshare person get sober. I think I pissed him off. I know you're a liar. Yeah, I'm a timeshare. And I even tried to sell timeshare because Gerard. I'm sold on the product. I get in there, I can't sell shit. I'm trying to be honest. I had a couple close deals, and I said, screw this. Got my hernia fixed. I moved down to Florida to get the hell away from everything for a while. I went down for a year or two and stayed for 8. And God was really good to me down there. I never paid high rent. I lived with a guy, I had a garage apartment. Had my own shower, kitchen, all that, bathroom. Paid $300 a month. That's with utilities. That's with cable and all that. So I never had to worry about money down there. So I never made much. But again, then I actually moved in with one gal when I first went down for a vacation. Guy called me up and said, hey, man, you coming back to Florida? I said, I wasn't really planning on it. He says, why? I said, why? He says, can you give me my first year coin out? That's a pretty big thing down there. I said, man, if you can find me a place to stay. He said, okay. And so 2 days later, this other guy, met while I was down there for the first 3 vacation, called me up and said, hey, man, this lady will help, call her up. She'll do it. Maybe. So I called her up, and I had 10 years at the time. But her name was Sandy. And we talked on the phone. She goes, cool, yeah. She goes, well, I got a swimming pool in the backyard. I got a dog, and here's a 3-bedroom house. She goes, you can run of the mill, do whatever you need. She says, but if you 13-step anybody, I'll cut your balls off. I like that lady, man. She cuts more than Mike. I'm going to. She's been my sponsor now for the last 10 years or whatever. But, she put me up for $100 a week. So I paid $400 or $500 a week or a month to live in Florida. And that was God. It's not, nothing else but that. Because I was doing the right things, It's like one day I'm waiting tables. And I'm thinking back, it's like, I told about Mike's. I says, I had the 8 teeth. I had some beat up dentures. And I do the right thing. I wait tables. I can greet people, and I have a great time with you. This lady looked at me, she goes, you got some ugly teeth. I'm going, that's a really weird statement for a customer to tell me that. And she gives me a card, she goes, go get your teeth fixed. I'm like, what? And this guy who was eating with her, he came back in about an hour later, he says, I seen that look on your face. He says, that lady's for real, go do what she says. So I got a $5,000 tip. That's God. It's by doing the right thing, staying in that circle, working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, bringing something to the game each day. So I do 7-step prayer each day because I want to bring something to this day. If I do something good, I want to brag about it, but I can't no more. I like to say, I've done all these great 12 steps and shit, But, damn, it's 9 o'clock. I thought I'd choke a little bit up here. But just give me a minute or two and I'll be done with this, guys. But Benji, thank you for asking me. Because Benji is one of those church army guys, And I love seeing people come through those places and get out, And I started going to church, too. And damn thing, Mike, I said, Mike, I never owned a Bible in my life. He said, I've got plenty of them. He gives me one about that thick. I'm going, son of a bitch. Everybody else got the Book of James. King James about that thick. I'm going, shit. Now, I have been baptized, since I've been in here, but I read the whole Bible before I did that, because that's what AA taught me. Read the whole thing before, so you don't know any little escape clauses and all that shit. So it took me about a year to do that, and finally got baptized. It was a good feeling, and there's a tack of your story with that, which I won't repeat, but if it wasn't for boobs, I probably wouldn't have been baptized that day, but good old candy. But then Joffrey, he took it off. Joffrey sends me Bible shit every day. I got Gary sending me, Hazels and stuff every day. And so if I'm not reading scripture every day, I normally do a little bit from him, and if not, I can open up both books. I have double coverage, and I never thought I'd have that. But so wherever your journey is, I see Marcus at Church Army or Corps or whatever it is, standing by the door. Damn, I can't get away from this kid. He's every fucking where. It was really cool, because I can go anywhere, but I was so scared to walk in, the front door of a church, because I was thinking, I'm going to burn in hell and all this stuff. But if it wasn't for the back doors and basement doors of AA, I never would have walked through a front door. I'm not a testifier or nothing like that, but, when it's said and done, I know where I'm going. Everybody gets, oh, man, I'm so sorry you got cancer. I said, damn, if it wasn't for AA, I never would have had cancer. I should have been dead in my 50s if I'd kept drinking. I'd had cirrhosis. And you ever see anybody with cirrhosis in the hospital? Jaundice, they're all blown up. Go see them people. And if you like meth, go to the burn units. Burn units, 75% of people in burn units are from shake and bakers. Make your own meth, and you'll go see the burn victims. Go see that shit. If you really want to keep on drinking and that, go see what the real shit is of alcoholism and drug addiction. But I'm just grateful to be here, guys. And you're my home group again, so if I don't know you yet, you'll be saying, I wish that son of a bitch go back to Florida. I know how to thump a big book, and I try not to as much as I used to. Me and Bob were talking about that. Yeah, beat that book down there. Yeah, but I got to tell you from my personal experience how I worked them steps. I got to remember how it was to do a 6 and 7 in the beginning. It's like, I'm a real dick. That's step 6 for me. 7 means I didn't act like a dick, and I used my higher power. I used God. I used that 4th and 5th step to get through that. The 8th step, I still got amends I need to do. And the 9th step, I still got, people who do that. But, like over the years, I do a 4-step every year. And a couple years ago, my sister, I'll finish with this one. But, I got a Greek name. My grandfather's Greek, my grandmother's supposed to be Indian and all this shit. And there's always a discrepancy who my dad's dad was. So we always went Greek. Like vacation in Greece, we met family and all this shit. My sister does that DNA test. Found out I'm not fucking Greek. I'm like, damn. I'm hillbilly. I'm Irish. I'm all this other shit. But that was the 4th step I had to do again on her. I'm going, damn. Now, grandmother was a hooker. Did Grandpa know he was raising somebody else's kids? Was he just a good guy, or was he an idiot? We didn't know, and that's what pissed me off more than anything. Going, okay, they can't defend themselves. Who knows the story? That was 1920s and the 30s. So I still got that thing, and my sister like that, give me, like, oh, we're Irish, like on St. Patty's, is like, fuck you, I'm Greek, I'm kind of a dick, so after about a month, I'm sitting there steaming in this shit, and she's tried to do her little funny joke like her cousins and all this shit, and I just told her, Jeannie, I did the DNA test, I am Greek, just to piss her off. What was Mom doing, and just to piss her off, and so, we always thought she was adopted anyway. But, that's how I continue to stay in the program Alcoholics Anonymous. Like this last year, I got a few things I had to clear up. I got the major league shit done, but there's always something with sticking your craw. And if I don't clean that shit up, it'll eat me up. It'll get me back to having that drink again. But, guys, thanks for letting me shoot my shit, and I love you all.